The Testament of Judah. Chapter 1. The copy of the words of Judah, in which are the things that he spoke to his sons before he died. His sons gathered together and came to him, and he said to them, "Listen, my children, to Judah your father. I was my father Jacob's fourth son, and my mother Leah named me Judah, saying, I give thanks to Yahweh, because he has given me a fourth son also. I was swift in my youth and obeyed my father with everything I did. I honored my mother and my mother's sister. And it happened, when I became a man, that my father blessed me, saying, You will be a king, and will prosper in all things. And Yahweh showed me favor in all my works, both in the field and in the house. I know that I ran with a female deer, and caught it, and prepared the meat for my father, and he ate it. And I used to master the roes in the chase, and I overtook everything that was in the plains. I overtook a wild mare, and caught it, and tamed it. I killed a lion, and removed a young goat from its mouth. I grabbed a bear by its paw, and hurled it down a cliff, and it was crushed. I outran a wild boar, and tore it apart when I grabbed a hold of it as I ran. While in Hebron, I caught a leopard by the tail after it leapt upon my dog, and I hurled it upon the rocks, and it broke in half. I found a wild ox in the fields, and grabbing it by the horns, and whirling it around and stunning it, I cast it from me, and killed it. And when the two kings of the Canaanites came cloaked in armor against our flocks, and accompanied by many people, I single-handedly rushed upon the king of Hazor, struck him on his armor, dragged him to the ground, and then killed him. And the other, the king of Tappuah, I killed while he sat on his horse, and in doing so, I scattered all of his people. I found King Achor, who was a man of giant stature, hurling javelins in front of him and behind him as he sat on horseback. And I picked up a stone that weighed 60 pounds, and hurled it and smote his horse, and killed it. And I fought against Achor for 2 hours, and split his shield in half. Then I chopped off his feet, and killed him. And as I was stripping off his breastplate, 9 of his companions began to fight with me. So I wrapped my hand with my garment, and I slung stones at them, which killed 4 of them. The rest fled from me. And my father, Jacob, slew Beelsath, known as the king of all kings, and was a giant in strength, standing 12 cubits high. And fear came over them, and they stopped fighting against us. Consequently, my father was freed from his anxiety brought on from the wars when I was with my brothers. For as it related to me, he saw an angel of might in a vision who followed me everywhere, so that I should not be overcome. And in the south, a war came upon us that was even greater than the war in Shechem. And I joined in battle array with my brothers, and pursued 1,000 men, and slew 200 of them, along with 4 kings. And I climbed upon the wall and killed 4 mighty men. And so we captured Hazor, and took all the spoil. And the next day we departed to Eretan, which is a strong, walled, and inaccessible city. It threatened us with death. But Gad and I approached the city on the east side, as Reuben and Levi approached it on the west. And those that were watching upon the wall had thought that we were alone, which drew them to our location. And so my brothers secretly climbed up the stakes that were on both sides of the wall, and entered into the city, unbeknownst to the men. And we captured the city with the edge of the sword. And for those who had taken refuge in the city's tower, we set fire to it, and captured both the tower and those who sought refuge. And as we were departing, the men of Tappuah seized our spoil, and we fought against them after witnessing this. And we killed them all, and recovered what they took from us. And when I was at the waters of Kozeba, the men of Jobel positioned themselves against us for battle. And we fought with them, and scattered them. And we killed their allies from Shiloh, and we did not allow them to have the power to continue fighting against us. And the men of Machir came upon us on the 5th day, to seize our spoil. And we attacked them and overcame them in fierce battle. For there was a host of mighty men amongst them, and we killed them before they had gone up the ascent. And when we came to their city, their women rolled stones upon us from the brow of the hill on which the city stood. And Simeon and I hid behind the town, and seized upon the heights, and destroyed this city as well. And the next day we were told that the king of the city of Gaash was coming against us with a mighty host. Because of this, Dan and I pretended to be Amorites and acted like allies, which allowed us entry into their city. And in the depth of the night, our brothers came and we opened up the gates to them, and we destroyed all the men and their possessions, and we took all that they owned. We also broke down 3 of their walls. And we arrived at Thamna, where all the possessions of the hostile kings were located. Then, being insulted by them, I was furious, and rushed against them to the summit, and they kept slinging stones and darts at me. And had my brother, Dan, not aided me, they would have killed me. As a result, we attacked them, and they all fled. And as they fled, a different way, they fought against my father, and he made peace with them. And we refrained from hurting them, and they became our tributaries. And in doing so, we give them back their spoils. And I built Thamna, and my father built Pabael. I was 20 years old when this war transpired, and the Canaanites feared my brothers and I. I had much cattle, and also had Iram, the Adulamite, as my chief herdsman. And when I went to him, I saw Parseba, king of Adulam. He spoke to us and made us a feast. And when I was inflamed with passion, he gave me his daughter Bathshua to be my wife. She gave birth to Er, Onan, and Shelah. And Yahweh killed 2 of them, but Shelah lived, and you are his children. Chapter 2. My father lived in peace with his brother Esau for 18 years, and his sons lived in peace with us after we departed from Laban out of Mesopotamia. And when 18 years were fulfilled, in the 40th year of my life, my uncle Esau fought against us with a mighty and strong people. And Jacob killed Esau with an arrow, and he was taken to Mount Seir while he was wounded. And as he approached it, he died at Enonarim. And we pursued after the sons of Esau. Now they had a city with walls of iron and gates of brass, and we could not enter into it. So we encamped around it and besieged it. And after 20 days of besieging it, they would not open up to us. So I set up a ladder in everyone's sight, and I went up with my shield upon my head, sustaining the assault of stones, close to 3 talents of weight, and I killed 4 of their mighty men. Reuben and Gad killed 6 others. They then asked us to provide terms of peace, and having taken counsel with our father, we received them as tributaries. And they gave us 500 cores of wheat, 500 baths of oil, and 500 measures of wine, until the famine happened, and then we went down to Egypt. And after these things my son, Er, took Tamar as his wife, from Mesopotamia, a daughter of Aram. Now Er was wicked, and he was in need concerning Tamar, because she was not of the land of Canaan. And on the 3rd night, one of Yahweh's angels killed him. Er did not have sexual relations with Tamar according to the evil craftiness of his mother, for he did not want to have children with her. In the days of the wedding feast, I gave Onan to her in marriage, and in his wickedness, he would not have sexual relations with her as well, even though he was with her for a year. And after I threatened him, he engaged in sexual relations with her. But according to the command of his mother, he purposely spilled his seed on the ground and died just like his brother because of this wickedness. And I wished to give Shelah to her as well, but his mother did not permit it. Instead, Bathshua did evil against Tamar, because she was not of the daughters of Canaan, as she herself was. And I knew that the Canaanites were wicked, but my youthful impulse blinded my mind. And when I saw her pouring out wine, and because I was intoxicated with wine, I was deceived, and took her as my wife even though my father had not advised it. And while I was away, she went and found a wife for Shelah from the land of Canaan. And when I found out what she had done, I cursed her in the anguish of my soul. And she also died through her wickedness together with her sons. And 2 years after all of this had happened, while Tamar was a widow, she heard that I was going up to shear my sheep, and chose to adorn herself in bridal array, and sat by the gate in the city named Enaim. For the Amorites had a law that a woman who was about to be married should sit in fornication by the city gate for 7 days. Now, because I was drunk from the wine I consumed, I didn't recognize that it was her. Tamar's beauty, as well as the fashion in which she adorned herself, had deceived me. And I approached her and said, "Let me have sex with you." And she said, "What will you give me?" And I gave her my staff and my girdle, and also the crown of my kingdom as a pledge. And I had sexual relations with her, and she conceived. And not knowing what I had done, I wanted to kill her, but she secretly sent me back what I had pledged to her, and she put me to shame. And when I called for her, I also heard the secret words which I spoke to her when I was lying with her in my drunkenness. And I couldn't kill her because it was from Yahweh. For I said, for fear that she gladly did this in subtlety, having received the pledge from another woman. But I didn't come near her again while I lived, because I had done this abominable act in Israel. In addition, there were people in the city who said that there was no harlot at their gate, because she came from another place and sat for a while at the gate. And I thought that no one knew that I had sexual relations with her. And after all of this, we went to Egypt, where Joseph was, due to the famine. I was 46 years old at the time, and I lived in Egypt for 73 years. Chapter 3. And now I command you, my children, to listen to Judah your father, and keep my words so that you perform all the ordinances of Yahweh, and to obey the commandments of God. Do not walk after your lusts, nor in the imaginations of your thoughts in arrogance of heart. Do not boast in the deeds and strength of your youth, for this is also evil in the eyes of Yahweh. And when I had fought in the wars, I boasted that no beautiful woman's face had ever enticed me, and I reproved my brother Reuben for what he did to Bilhah, the wife of my father. Because of this, the spirits of jealousy and of fornication arrayed themselves against me, until I slept with Bathshua the Canaanite, and Tamar, who was married to my sons. For I said to my father-in-law, I will seek advice from my father, and after that I will marry your daughter. But he was unwilling to let me do that, and instead he showed me a boundless store of gold on his daughter's behalf, for he was a king. And he adorned her with gold and pearls, and caused her to pour out wine for us at the feast along with other beautiful women. And the wine turned my eyes aside, and pleasure blinded my heart. I became enamored of her, and slept with her, and transgressed the commandment of Yahweh, and the commandment of my fathers, and I took her to be my wife. And Yahweh rewarded me according to the imagination of my heart, to the extent that I had no joy in her children. And now, my children, I say to you, do not get drunk with wine, for wine turns the mind away from the truth and inspires the passion of lust, and leads the eyes into error. For the spirit of fornication has wine as a minister, to give pleasure to the mind. For both of these also take away the mind of a man. For if a man drinks wine until he is drunk, it disturbs the mind with filthy thoughts that lead to fornication, and heats the body to carnal union. And if the occasion of the lust is present, he acts on the sin, and is not ashamed. Such is the inebriated man, my children, for a drunk man respects no one. As you see, it made me also do what is wrong, so that I was not ashamed of the multitude in the city, and that before the eyes of all I approached Tamar, and performed a great sin, and I uncovered the covering of my son's shame. After I had drunk wine, I did not respect the commandment of God, and I took a woman from the land of Canaan to be my wife. For a man who drinks wine needs much discretion, my children, and this is what discretion is when drinking wine. A man may drink as long as he preserves his modesty. But if he goes beyond this limit, the spirit of deceit attacks his mind, and it makes the drunkard to talk filthily, and to transgress, and to not be ashamed. In fact, he revels in his shame, and thinks that he is being honorable. He that commits fornication is not aware when he suffers loss, and is not ashamed when put to dishonor. For even though a man may be a king and commits fornication, he is stripped of his kingship by becoming the slave of fornication, as I myself also suffered. For I gave my staff, that is, the support of my tribe, and my girdle, that is, my power, and my crown, that is, the glory of my kingdom. And indeed, I repented of these things. I did not eat wine and flesh until my old age, nor did I behold any joy. And the angel of God revealed to me that women will always bear rule over kings and beggars alike. And they take away the glory from a king, and the might from a valiant man, and the little bit that the beggar has from his poverty. Consequently, my children, observe the right limit while drinking wine, for in it are 4 evil spirits, of lust, of hot desire, of dissolute behavior, and of filthy lucre. If you drink wine in gladness, you should be modest and in the fear of Yahweh. For if in your gladness the fear of God departs, then drunkenness arises, and shamelessness creeps in. But if you would live soberly, do not touch wine at all, to avoid sinning in words of outrage, and in fightings and slanders, and transgressions of the commandments of God, and you perish before your time. In addition, wine reveals the mysteries of God and men, even as I also revealed the commandments of God and the mysteries of my father, Jacob, to the Canaanite woman, Bathsheba, which God instructed me not to reveal. And wine is a cause of both war and confusion. And now I command you, my children, not to love money, nor gaze upon the beauty of women, because for the sake of money and beauty, I was led astray to Bathsheba the Canaanite. For because of these 2 things, I know that my race will fall into wickedness. For even wise men among my sons will they disfigure, and will cause the kingdom of Judah to be diminished, which Yahweh gave me because of my obedience to my father. For I never grieved my father, Jacob, and I did everything that he commanded me. And my grandfather Isaac blessed me so that I would be king in Israel, and Jacob further blessed me in the same manner. And I know that the kingdom will be established from me, and I know what evils you will do in the last days. For that reason, my children, beware of fornication and the love of money, and listen to your father, Judah. For these things withdraw us from the law of God, and blind the inclination of the soul, and teach arrogance, and distract a man from having compassion for his neighbor. They rob his soul of all goodness, and oppress him with toils and troubles, and force sleep away from him, and devour his flesh. It hinders him from doing the sacrifices of God, and he forgets about the blessings of God. He stops listening to when the prophets speak, and resents the words of godliness. For he is a slave to 2 contrary passions, and cannot obey God, because they have blinded his soul, and he walks in the day as in the night. My children, the love of money leads to idolatry, because when led astray through money, men call upon gods who are not actually gods, and it causes he who has it to fall into madness. For the sake of money I lost my children. Had not my repentance and my humiliation and the prayers of my father been accepted, I would have died childless. But the God of my fathers had mercy on me, because I did it in ignorance. And the prince of deceit blinded me, and I sinned as a man and as flesh, being corrupted through sins. And I learnt my own weakness while I thought myself to be invincible. Therefore, my children, know that two spirits wait upon a man, the spirit of truth and the spirit of deceit. And in the midst is the spirit of understanding of the mind, to which it belongs to turn wherever it will. And the works of truth and the works of deceit are written upon the hearts of men, and Yahweh knows each one of them. And there is no time at which the works of men can be hid, for on the heart itself have they been written down before Yahweh. And the Spirit of truth testifies all things, and accuses all. And the sinner is burnt up by his own heart, and cannot raise his face to the judge. Chapter 4. And now, my children, I command you to love Levi, that you may remain. Do not exalt yourselves against him, to avoid being utterly destroyed. For Yahweh gave the kingdom to me, and to Levi, the priesthood. And he placed the kingdom in lower position to the priesthood. Yahweh gave me the things upon the earth, and to Levi, the things in the heavens. As the heaven is higher than the earth, so is the priesthood of God higher than the earthly kingdom, unless Yahweh allows it to fall away because of sin, and is dominated by the earthly kingdom. For the angel of Yahweh said to me, Yahweh chose him rather than you, to draw near to him, and to eat of his table, and to offer him the firstfruits of the choice things of the sons of Israel. But you will be king of Jacob. And you will be among them like the sea. For as on the sea, just and unjust are tossed about, some taken into captivity, while some are enriched. So also will every race of men be in you. Some will be impoverished, being taken captive, and others grow rich by plundering the possessions of others. For the kings will be as sea monsters. They will swallow men like fishes. They will enslave the sons and daughters of free men. They will plunder houses, lands, flocks, and money. And with the flesh of many will they wrongfully feed the ravens and the cranes. And they will advance in evils and will increase in covetousness. And there will be false prophets like a tempest. And they will persecute all righteous men. And Yahweh will bring divisions upon them so that they are one against another. And there will be continual wars in Israel. And among men of another race will my kingdom be brought to an end, until the salvation of Israel will come. Then Jacob and all the nations will rest in peace at the appearing of the God of righteousness. And he will guard the might of my kingdom forever. For Yahweh swore to me with an oath that he would not destroy the kingdom from my seed forever. Now I have much grief, my children, because of your lewdness and witchcrafts and idolatries which you will practice against the kingdom, following them that have familiar spirits, diviners, and demons of error. You will make your daughters singing girls and harlots, and you will mingle with the abominations of the nations. For which things' sake Yahweh will bring famine and pestilence upon you, death and the sword, besieging by enemies, and reviling of friends, the slaughter of children, the rape of wives, the plundering of possessions, the burning of the temple of God, the laying waste of the land, and the enslavement of yourselves among the nations. And they will make some of you eunuchs for their wives, until Yahweh visits you, when you repent with a perfect heart and walk in all his commandments, and he brings you up from captivity among the nations. And after these things a star will arise to you from Jacob in peace, and a man will arise from my seed, like the Son of Righteousness, walking with the sons of men in meekness and righteousness. And no sin will be found in him. And the heavens will be opened up to him, to pour out the Spirit, even the blessing of the Holy Father. And he will pour out the Spirit of grace upon you. And you will be sons in truth to him, and you will walk in his commandments from the first one to the last one. Then the scepter of my kingdom will shine ahead, and a stem will arise from your root, and a rod of righteousness will grow from it to all nations, to judge and to save all that call upon Yahweh. And after these things, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will resurrect back to life, and my brothers and I will be chiefs of the tribes of Israel. Levi first, I the second, Joseph third, Benjamin fourth, Simeon fifth, Issachar sixth, and so all in order. And Yahweh blessed Levi, and the angel of the presence blessed me. The powers of glory blessed Simeon. The heaven blessed Reuben. The earth blessed Issachar. The sea blessed Zebulun. The mountains blessed Joseph. The tabernacle blessed Benjamin. The luminaries blessed Dan. Eden blessed Naphtali. The sun blessed Gad. The moon blessed Asher. And you will be the people of Yahweh, and have one language. And the spirit of deceit of Beliar will not be there, for he will be cast into the fire forever. And those who have died in grief will arise in joy, and they who were poor for Yahweh's sake will be made rich, and those who were put to death for Yahweh's sake will awaken to life. And the hearts of Jacob will run in joyfulness, and the eagles of Israel will fly in gladness, and all the people will glorify Yahweh forever. For that reason, my children, observe all the law of Yahweh, for there is hope for all those who are firmly fixed to his ways. And Judah said to them, Behold, I will die before your eyes today, 119 years old. Let no one bury me in costly apparel, nor tear open my bowels, for those who are kings will do this. And carry me up to Hebron with you. And Judah, after he had said these things, fell asleep. And his sons did everything according to what he had commanded them.